You've probably heard about this game from a million different Let's Play channels, watching them scream out of terror! But I've played a lot of horror games since 1990, and I consider this game one of a kind. I wanted to give it more of an analytical look, because I believe it sets a golden standard for the modern survival horror genre. Here we go! Outlast is an indie game made by Red Barrels, formerly the Montreal branch of ex-Ubisoft workers, which explains why it barely looks or feels like an indie game. You're a reporter who goes by the name of Miles Upshur, who gets word from an inside source that there's something newsworthy hidden inside the abandoned building, Mount Massive Asylum. He thinks he's gonna get a valuable scoop, but what he's more likely to get is murdered by naked psychopaths! The prison is brimming with insane monsters who lost their humanity after being subjected to a series of Nazi-conducted dream experiments, and for some reason, all they care about is killing you. These guys are called variants, but I feel like calling them psychos. In one scene, you wake up in a prison cell after being drugged. You learn that the priest has requested that none of the inmates kill you, but it's very apparent that they're having a hard time controlling themselves.
The preacher asked us not to.
It would be impolite.
Not here.
We give him a running start.
There's an idea.
And when we kill him slow.
Such patience.
Some will attack you, and others will stew in their delusional mindset, curled up in the fetal position, bashing their heads against the wall, or just twitching. Something about this is creepy, but I can't quite put my finger on it. Some enemies are violent and aggressive, while others are passive and enjoy watching you, strolling after you and hurting you for fun. Or just standing there, threateningly.
Fingers, blood, my head, flies.
There were lots of moments where I thought I was going to die, until I realized the crazies were just fucking with me. I can't say I've ever had this situation in a survival horror game before. Enemies generally want you dead, or they don't want any trouble. Having a gray area in which you don't know if you're safe or not really establishes that you can't afford to let your guard down. Also, if a psychopath spots you, the music changes into a terrifying backdrop and he immediately gives chase. Your only hope of escaping includes running into a dark corner until he loses sight of you, hiding inside a locker or bathroom stall, or under a bed. You can also use doors to break their line of sight and stall for time while they break it down. But that trick can only be used once before you're left with a doorless frame. Sometimes, though, hiding doesn't work. They'll stare you in the face with their horrifying expressions and start beating you! Oh God, no! You have no means with which to defend yourself. You're armed only with a night vision enabled camcorder that runs on batteries that only last several minutes. The camcorder can still run on a dead battery, but it has virtually zero visibility, so you either have to run blindly ahead or use the floor and walls to guide your direction. You feel constantly vulnerable and helpless, knowing that AA batteries are the most important aspect of your survival. Take that, Resident Evil! Take your guns and ammo and shove them up your ass! The gameplay feels very fluid and allows you to respond quickly and naturally. There were times in which I was running from an enemy, and the controls were so tight that I would see my hands trembling reflected in the camera's stability, and it would freak me out even more than I already was. The character's dialogue consists purely of heavy breathing. His breathing always matches the tone of what's happening, and it really cues the player as to how much danger they're in and how they should feel. The scares found throughout Outlast are constant. They range from, oh, that blood on the wall isn't very pleasant, or geez, that's freaky. I didn't expect that. While others are, holy shit, that thing is running 2 feet behind me, get the fuck out, go, go, go! Throughout the entire game, you're stalked by a beefy psycho called Chris Walker, who refers to you as His motives are unclear, but he's tenacious and extremely strong. And he needs you dead. Every time you start to feel some semblance of safety, there he is. I felt my stomach sink every time I'd see his glowing eyes in the darkness. He can run almost as fast as you, and he's surprisingly smart for a big fella. Although I felt better once I found out he can't sneak through narrow crevices. Yeah, should've laid off those burgers, huh, Tiny? Oh shit.
You're at the great fuckface.
No matter where you go, Chris Walker is following. Not enough games implement the concept of, hey, keep moving because this guy isn't gonna give up until you're dead. It's a nice throwback to Resident Evil 3, when Nemesis would stalk your character throughout the entire game and try to kill you. I only have a few complaints about this otherwise flawless game. During a chase, running through a door frame and closing it behind you becomes ambiguous, and sometimes the game thinks you're trying to close the door in front of you, trapping you in the same room with your pursuer, who then kills you immediately! I guess this isn't so bad, because it sort of adds to the terror knowing you can fuck yourself over if you don't click at just the right time. Additionally, the jumping mechanics are fickle. Occasionally you'll jump to vault over things or climb up a ventilation shaft, but it might take 2 or 3 tries before the game registers your intention. This can be really problematic when you're trying to make a quick getaway, and unlike the previous criticism, this doesn't add anything to the game since it pulls you out of the experience and makes you realize, man, they should have programmed this whole jumping thing a bit better. And lastly, considering the majority of this game is just scare after scare after scare, the ending isn't as scary in comparison, and therefore feels kind of anticlimactic. Then again, I can't think of a way to conclude the game's narrative in one nice, neat little package and still scare the shit out of the player. Outlast has been very well received, scoring a 79 on Metacritic, a 7.8 on IGN, and a 4.5 on Joystick. But I personally give it a 9 out of 10. The only downside is, I don't know if anything will seem scary to me after playing this game. After playing Outlast, any other game just doesn't seem to measure up. Amnesia still scares me with the fact that you have to run and hide while enemies break down doors, but it feels more like a creepy puzzle game than anything else. Couple that with the fact that the puzzles can get reasonably difficult, and if you can't get past some of them, it's easy to just give up and stop playing. Other games have similar problems that get in the way of scares. The Fear series, to name one, alternated between jump scares and shootouts, but oftentimes the shootouts became the bulk of the gameplay. The scares were usually all visual, meaning they're unsettling, but they never truly present a threat, because they can't hurt you. Outlast is one instantly gratifying adrenaline rush that never gives you perplexing puzzles or meaningless threats. It lets you know right from the beginning, hey, there are murderers stalking you, and they don't talk shit. They will kill you. Look, see, there's one right there. I mean, you could just stand right there and find out the hard way, but don't say we didn't warn you. It's psychologically unsettling from the moment you first start playing it, and the only time I didn't enjoy myself was when I was stumbling through the darkness, incredibly lost, and trying to avoid being stabbed through the torso! Luckily, I realized that the game autosaves often, which is amazing, because I used up batteries like paper towels, and found myself completely screwed against the night vision capable psychopaths who wanted me dead. Conclusion: terrifying, thrilling, fun, and it's only $20. You can get your copy from Steam today, but it'll also be free on the PlayStation 4 for PlayStation Plus members. Eventually. Update! Somewhere in between editing this video and releasing it, Red Barrel's announced the eventual release of the Outlast DLC, Whistleblower. It follows the story behind the man who messaged Miles and clued him into the unethical experimentation going on at Mount Massive. In this DLC, you'll encounter the experiments and abuse that led to the asylum's downfall. They didn't point it out specifically, but while the original letter Miles picks up in the beginning of the game is from an anonymous informant, I came across this document towards the end of the game that read, "If I don't get an answer to this email, I will be forced to resign, and may very well consider contacting the press. Signed, David Annapurna." I'm really looking forward to it, because if the game itself is this good, I expect the DLC to potentially improve upon it. And apparently you also get to kiss severed fingers, which is something I've always wanted to do in a game. Oh yeah, you kiss that finger, yeah, that's so fucking hot. Thanks for watching, and feel free to like, comment, and subscribe for more video gamey updates in the future.